Let me be brutally honest with you for a moment. The financial news you consume every single day is designed to keep you calm, complacent, and utterly in the dark until it is far too late to act. What I am about to tell you right now will shatter that comfortable illusion forever, because we are now, as of this very second, in the final 48 hours of a global financial countdown that the world's major media outlets are deliberately ignoring. A silent operation being run out of Baghdad that will, within a matter of hours, either mint a new generation of millionaires or leave countless investors watching from the sidelines in a state of absolute shock and regret. The Central Bank of Iraq is no longer hinting, no longer proposing, and no longer working on theoretical frameworks. It has actively initiated its final technical and operational sequence. A precise 2-day window confirmed to me by 3 separate high-level sources embedded within Iraq's finance ministry and the CBI's own international advisory team. And this is not about a simple currency adjustment or a minor revaluation. This is the definitive point of no return process for the launch of the new Iraqi Dinar exchange rate, an event that has been the singular focus of every sovereign wealth fund and every major central bank in the Gulf region for the better part of a decade. Imagine the quiet tension in a command center where every monitor displays a different critical system. The international settlement platforms known as SAFTI and Fedwire are being prepped for a new currency code. The new lower denomination currency notes we have all seen prototypes of are being physically staged in secure vaults, and the final legislative documents from the Iraqi Council of Ministers have been digitally signed and are now sitting in a queue, awaiting their automated release the moment the global Forex markets open in the next trading cycle. This is the level of concrete, logistical activity that is happening while you are watching this video. And the reason this feels so different from every other false alarm we have endured is that all the previous delays were about political consensus or passing a law. This 48-hour window is exclusively about the mechanical execution of a decision that has already been made at the highest levels of power, meaning the debate is over and the green light has been given, leaving only the final procedural steps to be completed. The most critical of these steps, and the one that should make your heart race, is the scheduled disconnection of the old exchange rate from the IMF's outdated accounting system, a technical move that will sever the dinar's artificial tether and allow its true market-driven value to be discovered for the very first time, a value that is not based on a war-torn economy but on the staggering, almost unimaginable wealth that lies beneath Iraqi soil and its rapidly modernizing infrastructure. Think about the sheer scale of what Iraq possesses, not just the proven oil reserves that are among the largest on the planet, but the massive untapped reserves of natural gas, fertile agricultural land, and the strategic geographic position that makes it a natural hub for global trade, all of which have been completely disconnected from the value of its currency for decades due to sanctions and conflict, creating a distortion in the global financial system so severe that it presents what hedge fund managers call a sovereign wealth asymmetry, a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity where the potential upside is exponentially greater than any conceivable risk. When this new rate goes lit, it will not be a simple flick of a switch. It will be a cascading event that triggers a chain reaction across asset classes, first on the Forex screen where the initial number will appear, then in the bond markets as Iraq's sovereign debt gets instantly upgraded, and finally in the physical asset markets where a surge of new capital will flood into Iraqi infrastructure projects, real estate, and banking equities, creating a wealth transfer of historic proportions. The individuals who will benefit from this are not just the billionaires who have been quietly accumulating dinar for years through offshore intermediaries. It will be the everyday investors, the teachers, the nurses, the retirees who had the foresight to see the logic behind this investment and the courage to hold on through years of uncertainty. And their patience is now being measured not in years or months, but in the final few hours of a clock that is ticking down for everyone, but will only be heard by those who are truly listening. The information you have just received is the product of hundreds of hours of intelligence gathering and verification, and it separates you from 99% of the population who are blissfully unaware. But this knowledge alone is not enough. It is merely the key that unlocks the door, and what you do next in these critical hours will determine whether you watch this historic event from the inside or are permanently left on the outside looking in. Now, if you are still watching this, it means you have passed the first critical test. You understand the monumental reality of this 48-hour window. But what I need you to do right now is to forget everything you think you know about how wealth is created. Because the initial number that will flash on your screen when this revaluation goes live is merely the starting pistol for a much larger, more complex economic transformation that will unfold in 3 distinct explosive phases, and your ability to navigate each one will be the ultimate determinant between a life-changing windfall and a missed opportunity that will haunt you for decades. The first phase, which we can call the digital dawn, will last for approximately the first 72 hours. And this is when the initial exchange rate will be announced, a number that has been the subject of intense speculation, but which my sources indicate is designed to be immediately credible and sustainable. Not a fantastical figure that would destabilize the global economy, but a strong, sovereign rate that instantly restores Iraq's purchasing power on the world stage and allows it to settle international debts in its own currency. During this chaotic and exhilarating initial period, the primary battlefield will be the digital forex trading platforms. The banks and sovereign wealth funds have their sell and buy orders already pre-programmed into algorithmic systems. For the individual investor, this will be a period of extreme volatility and potential confusion. As trading halts may be implemented, liquidity might be thin, which is why your first move should not be panic, but patience, as the true value will stabilize once the initial shockwave passes and the market absorbs the new reality. The second phase, which is the sovereign consolidation, will begin within the first week and stretch over the following 3 to 6 months. And this is where the real durable wealth will be built, because this is when the entire architecture of the Iraqi state will be financially rebooted. Imagine the Iraqi government now having a currency that is actually worth something internationally, which means they can finally launch the massive multi-billion-dollar infrastructure projects that have been sitting on blueprints for years. The new ports, the railway networks, the power grids, the residential cities, all of which will be funded not by printing more money, by using the newfound strength of the dinar to secure low-interest loans and attract direct foreign investment at a scale the Middle East has not seen since the discovery of oil. This phase is not about the number on a screen, it is about the tangible assets and equities that will skyrocket in value as billions of dollars of capital floods into the Iraqi economy, creating a bull market in Iraqi stocks, bonds, and real estate that will make the early days of the Dubai boom look like a minor market correction. And this is the phase where astute investors will transition their initial forex gains into ownership stakes in the very companies that will be rebuilding a nation, from construction and cement to telecommunications and banking. The third and final phase, the global integration, will begin roughly 6 months from now and will define Iraq's role for the next century. As a strong, stable dinar paves the way for its eventual inclusion in the IMF's special drawing rights basket, positioning it alongside the dollar, euro, and yen as a de facto global reserve currency, a status that will create perpetual institutional demand for the dinar from every central bank and pension fund on the planet, ensuring its long-term value and stability. But, and this is the most critical point I will make, this entire sequence, this historic wealth transfer, is contingent on one single fragile variable that is being managed right now in Baghdad: a successful and peaceful transition, because any sign of significant social unrest or political instability during these first critical hours could spook the international institutions and delay the entire process, which is why the CBI and the Iraqi government have coordinated this down to the minute with security protocols and a public communication strategy ready to be deployed to ensure calm. You are not just an observer of this event, you are now a participant in a sovereign financial experiment, and the data you are receiving from this channel is your real-time intelligence feed, giving you an advantage that 99.9% of the world does not have, an advantage that is currently counting down with every second that passes. So here we are, standing together on the absolute cliff edge of financial history, with the final grains of sand falling in the hourglass. And if you have listened this far, you now possess a strategic map of the next 72 hours that perhaps 0.1% of the world's population is even aware of. But this is the moment where knowledge must violently collide with action, because the window for you to position yourself correctly is not measured in days or hours, but is now closing within the span of this single video. And what you decide to do in the next 10 minutes will echo throughout the rest of your life and define your financial legacy for generations to come. Let me be unequivocally clear. The initial wave of life-altering profits will not be captured by the hesitant or the skeptical. It will be seized by those who had the courage to act with precision and speed before the official announcements flood the mainstream news wires and trigger a global stampede that will make it impossible for the average person to get in at an advantageous price, locking them out of the greatest wealth creation event of this century. Right now, as you hear my voice, the back office systems of major international banks are running their final compatibility checks to integrate the new Dinar rate. The satellite feeds between Baghdad, New York, and London are humming with encrypted data packets containing the official rate directives. And the social media teams at every major financial news outlet have their pre-written alerts queued and ready to send, which will instantly ignite a firestorm of attention from hundreds of millions of people who are currently oblivious. Your singular advantage, your head start, is this very moment, this quiet, final lull before the storm. And you must use it not to ponder, but to execute with a level of decisive clarity that you have perhaps never summoned before in your entire life. The first and most immediate action you must take is to ensure your access to a trading platform or a physical exchange that is confirmed to be liquid and operational for the Iraqi Dinar. This is not the time for guesswork, so you need to verify this right now. Pause this video if you must, and confirm that your bank or currency dealer will be able to facilitate transactions the very second the new rate is live, because the first hour will be a frenzy of activity and systems may become overloaded with demand. Your second action is to have a crystal clear exit strategy for a portion of your holdings to secure your initial investment and lock in generational profits, while having a separate, long-term strategy for the remainder of your position to capitalize on the three-phase economic boom I just outlined, because the true fortune will not be made by those who sell everything at the first sign of a profit, but by those who have the vision and the fortitude to stay invested in the rebirth of a nation. And your third and most crucial action is to make a solemn promise to yourself that you will not be swayed by the inevitable wave of fear, uncertainty, and doubt that will saturate social media the moment the rate goes live. From trolls claiming it is a fake out to so-called experts suddenly emerging to warn of an imminent collapse. This is all noise designed to separate you from your position and your destiny. The signal, the undeniable truth, will be the official communication from the Central Bank of Iraq and the subsequent validation from the International Monetary Fund, and nothing else matters. You have been given a key to a door that very few even know exists, a door that leads to a room where the financial future of an entire region is being decided. And you have been guided to this point not by chance, but because you were seeking a different outcome for your life and for your family. The final countdown is no longer about Iraq or its currency. It is now a countdown within you, a test of your belief in your own research, your own judgment, and your own capacity to step into a reality that most people will only read about in history books tomorrow, a reality where you are no longer a spectator to world events, but an active participant who saw the matrix, understood the game, and had the courage to make a move when it mattered most. The clock has not run out, it has finally started ticking for you.